Were you in a relationship with a narcissist who would use triangulation to make you jealous? Now, there are different ways that narcissists can use triangulation. One of them is to spark jealousy, and oftentimes they do this with their exes, and oftentimes there's also cheating involved. Almost always, let's say. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and today I am sharing some tips on how to get over triangulation with a narcissist. And we know that in almost every case where this happens, there's also cheating involved. So the pain can be very deep and it can be very difficult to get over. And there are a lot of reasons for this, actually. So we're gonna dig into why that is. I also have another video on that too, so if you want to learn more, definitely check that out. I'm gonna put it in the card here. And how to start forgiving and getting over it. Because we know that forgiveness, it's not for the other person, it's for us. Carrying around hate and bitterness is not good for your soul, and it's not good for your personal development or your emotional health. So we've got to find a way to forgive and move on, and I'm going to help you do that. Okay, so my first tip may not apply to everyone. I hope it doesn't, actually, but my first tip is to get out. If you're in this situation, if you're still hanging on, if you're still hoping that the narcissist will choose you over somebody else, get yourself out of this situation. It is not healthy. And my second tip is, it may seem a little bit out there, but it's to understand the trauma bond. Now, this is the bond that keeps you feeling like you're tied to the narcissist. And this is one reason why it continues to trigger you after you're out of the relationship, because you still feel like you're tied to that person in some way. So understanding the trauma bond is an important part for healing yourself, but it's also an important part of understanding from a more holistic perspective, which in my opinion is what we need to do if we truly want to forgive. So I have a video about the trauma bond and what happens in the brain when you are abused by somebody you love. And I'm going to put that one up in the card too. I highly suggest you watch that one. And actually, I have to admit, as I was filming that video, the connection between that and triangulation came through for me. So I kind of started going off on a tangent about triangulation, and I realized I had to reel it in. And I cut it out so you won't see it in that video. But I realized that I had to make another video on it to share those connections with you. Okay, so now back to the trauma bond. The trauma bond can help you understand that third party's position. So a lot of the reason why it's difficult to forgive, because it involves forgiving not just the narcissist, but the third party. And I'm gonna propose that the reason why it is so incredibly difficult is because it's more than that. You have to forgive the entire triangle, which includes yourself. Now, I know that sounds crazy and you might be thinking consciously, I have nothing to forgive myself about. I did nothing wrong. That doesn't mean that you're not harboring bad feelings for yourself in this situation. Let me explain. So first, let's understand the third party's perspective. So this third party, just like you were or still are, was trauma bonded to the narcissist. And they went through the same cycles that you did. They went through the love bombing, they went through the devaluing and the discarding. And they may have done it a bunch of times. But you know, having been through this, it gets a little bit embarrassing. Right? You don't want to admit that you're going back to this person. So the third party will often do it behind closed doors. And that creates the situation where the narcissist can easily build a harem of exes who are embarrassed that they're with this person And so they only want to do it behind closed doors. They don't want anyone to know. And they have to kind of understand when the narcissist goes off and gets another girlfriend or boyfriend. You can forgive the other person if you understand their motivation and how they got caught up in that whole mess. Maybe they're not a bad person. Maybe they just got trauma bonded to the point where they felt like they lost control. And maybe they even beat themselves up over it. Who knows? It's better for yourself to think that people are doing the right thing, because then you don't have to harbor those bad feelings. And whether they are, whether they're not, that's their own karma, that's their own thing. It doesn't matter. But it's always better to give people the benefit of the doubt for your own healing. Okay, so now that we understand that perspective, why is it so difficult to forgive that person, the other piece of the triangle? Because that person represents you. That person represents a choice that you could have made, and maybe in some cases it's a choice you did make. But either way, whether you did it or you didn't, if you are trauma bonded, there was a part of you that wanted to. And so forgiving that other person, it's really, really difficult, because in forgiving that other person, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself for wanting to go back. Now, the other person in the triangle, the third party, they made the choice. They made the morally questionable choice. And maybe you didn't. And you could say, well, I'm nothing like them. And that's true. Maybe in a million years you would have never made that choice. But because of the trauma bond, you wanted to on some level. And it's all about acknowledging it and forgiving yourself for those feelings. And then you can move on. This particular triangle can really, really get at you. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share this message, because this information, it really did help me heal. And I know it's hard to hear. I know that not all of you probably want to hear it, so it's a little bit of a risk for me to put it out there. But at the same time, I felt like it was important enough that I do it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear it, whether you agree or disagree, whether you even want to forgive. Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you did like this video, let me know by hitting that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post new videos. That's all for now. See you soon.